Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I am Jeff.
And joining us for this special review episode is good friend Ant.
The Commissioner of the Kill, Ant.
Yes, Commissioner of the Kill, which is the Karak Invitational League.
Croc and Core
Karak
Invitational
Core,
League.
Yeah. Which is your Blood Bowl league, because we're reviewing Blood Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we are.
Finally.
My
it's been
day
a long
has
time
come.
coming.
Yep. We've dragged him here today.
Yes,
basically.
yes. He wasn't just bouncing in his seat like a little child, like all giddy and
Wiggling is a better word
yes.
for that.
You brought a bunch of trophies and accoutrements that you have spread out in front of you to really just set the mood.
I kept it minimal. I in my official jersey
The Rocky Mountain Renegades,
and with a couple of the trophies.
including mine, or my namesake.
The one named after you, at
The
least.
Barrel Bowl Jeffy Cup.
The Jeffy Cup 2017. David gets the Jeffy this season.
Uh-huh.
But
All right.
he actually, it benefits him to have it now.
Yes, it does.
All right, well, let's dive into this review here. So like I said, we're going to be reviewing Blood Bowl, mostly the 2016 edition, which was released, fittingly enough, in 2016. It's designed by Jervis Johnson, artists Wayne England, Dave Gallagher, Pete Knifton, and Richard Wright. Published by Games Workshop Ltd. It plays 2 players and takes 45 to 120 minutes. Bullshit.
Depends on what bullshit person plays.
Yeah.
Zach, do you have a rules overview for us?
A very sparse one that just gets very little of everything because, All right. In Blood Bowl, you and your opponent are coaches of 2 football teams based in the Warhammer universe. Your goal is simple. If you have the ball, you will want to run it into your opponent's end zone. If your opponents have it, you will want to stop them by any means necessary. Each turn, you are allowed to move each of your players, throw a block at an adjacent enemy, or once per round, blitz, allowing you to do both. Movement is based on your player's agility value, with opportunities for extra movements with successful rolls. When throwing up a block, you will compare your players and your target's strength values along with any other players in the tackle zone, adding more dice if you have an advantage. The block dice rolled can result in you pushing the target back, you knocking them down, or if you are unlucky, knocking yourself down. Any down players must take an armor check roll, which, if met, can result in injury or death. Failed rolls will result in turnovers, ending your turn short. After 2 halves of 8 rounds each, whoever has the most points wins.
yeah, so this is fantasy football. Or do you like to say, Ant,
Lord of the Rings meets NFL Blitz 95.
Yeah. Which is very accurate, I feel. So I don't know if anybody, like Zach, maybe because you're the person who was the newest to playing Blood Bowl. So I guess we could start with you. What were your initial thoughts going into playing Blood Bowl for the first time?
Well, I know listening to Jeff talk on and on about it for a long time, listening to Ant talk on and on about it for a long time, you guys having your multiple tournaments and stuff like that, and I know eventually, I think when we were bringing up games we wanted to review at some point, you were like, I want to review Blood Bowl. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to play Blood Bowl then if we have... And I remember watching people play on occasion, at least, glancing by, and it always felt overwhelming because it always seemed like, someone who's well versed in a game doing a bunch of stuff and you're trying to watch them. You're like, what is going on? What are you moving all these things for and stuff like that? So when I first, I told Ant, I was like, all right, we're going to review it at some point, so can you teach me how to play?
Oh, yes, I will.
Begrudgingly, he accepted.
It's like Ant's favorite phrase on the entire planet. Will you teach me Blood Bowl?
So when I first went in, I was a little prepared, trying to prepare myself for just all of the different, I don't know, just to feel overwhelmed but not trying to judge the game based off that. And I was just trying to come in with an open mind and just hope the best for it. So
Right on. Myself, the first time I played Blood Bowl was probably 3 years ago, maybe. It was back.
It was March of 2015.
How do you know that?
I was vampires and you were humans.
Take it from logging the play. You went
No.
back. Or...
I specifically remember the game.
Okay. Yeah, so 4 years ago. And back then I had no real expectations for it. I knew Ant really liked it. And I was interested because I really like football. And it's vaguely football based. This was before I had learned to hate dice, so I didn't have any apprehension based on that. So yeah, I don't know. It's been a really long time though since I played it, so I don't remember exactly kind of what I was thinking. I certainly wasn't going into it with a critical mind at that point. I was still pretty new to board gaming in general. So Jeff, since you probably even further back the first time you played, I don't know if you can remember what you were thinking about it when you first played, or if you just want to give a little bit of like your history of how you came to play Blood Bowl, maybe.
So it's when I was working at GameStop, and the Games Workshop was right across the hall in the Fox Valley Mall in Aurora, Illinois. One of my coworkers at Games Workshop was sort of introducing me to some of the other games that weren't like Warhammer or 40K, and some of the specialist games. And he was like, "Oh, Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl's awesome. We should play Blood Bowl." And I had literally no idea what I was going into that. Fell in love with it. Got some other of my GameStop friends to start playing, and that's kind of where I played the most before I met Ant and started playing Blood Bowl here. We just had some minor just playing Blood Bowl. No leagues or anything crazy.
Gotcha.
And then I played a lot of Fumble. A fuckload of Fumble.
How long ago was that?
2003? 2004?
Oh, that was even older than me.
Yeah.
And
what
so-
about you, Ant?
Yeah. What was your first time playing, kind of your history of Blood Bowl? How did you come to become the Blood Bowl king?
So again, I played Warhammer, like Jeff, the ultimate money sink of a teenager nerd.
Yes.
Thousands of thousands. Could have bought a car. I could have bought a car.
Well, when you work there, you get a good discount. So that's why I started working there.
So after a Warhammer game one day, one of my friends was like, "Hey, you should try this game, Blood Bowl." I played once, and I was Lizardman for the very first game. I remember very specifically. And then I joined Fumble kind of that time period, but that was 2007. I played pretty aggressively on and off since 2007. But when I started working at Epic, our brewer was also a board game nerd, and he mentioned this game that he wanted from the 80s, which is basically a really basic dungeon crawler. And I looked on Board Game Geek to try to find that game, and someone had posted that they found it at a thrift store for like $10. And I was like, "I'll give you $40 for it." And he's like, "Done." And then I was looking through other games that he had, and he had Blood Bowl 2nd Edition. And I hadn't played for a while. This was 4 years ago, so it's been a couple years since I played. And he had it, and I was like, "Well, I'll give you $40 for that too." He's like, "Done." So shipped me 2nd Edition. We played it a couple more times. We played it a couple times trying to remember how to play, because I missed the gap between Living Rulebook 5, 4 to 5. So I was doing a couple things wrong, and then I was like, "Well, these fucking minis are stupid. I'm gonna start buying new models." And then I just got super hooked. And then I met I met Jeff a year and a half later, and on the way to Gen Con for our first Adrian, Jeff, and me trip, we listened to a lot of Blood Bowl on the way there. And that solidified my solid addiction that I was building on my own. I'm like, "Oh, cool. This is something that other people can understand, and I need all of it. All of it."
I remember we listened to many, many Blood Bowl podcasts. I think they were like specialty team overviews and strategies or something.
So on the way there, we listened to 3 Die Block.
Yeah.
And they're a strategy-based Blood Bowl podcast. So they're tournament-themed, tournament strategy points by the numbers kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And on the way back, we listened to Bolt Down, which is a theme-based.
Yes.
Kind of like the history of Blood Bowl and the history
of teams.
Of different teams and why Blood Bowl is a thing.
Yeah. It was very interesting.
Right on. Well, moving on from there, components. So components for Blood Bowl are going to be interesting to talk about because you buy teams from just a ton of different teams. How many teams do you have now, Ant?
I own 22.
And how many are there?
24.
What are the 2
You're
teams?
2 behind?
I'm 2 behind.
What 2 do you not have?
I don't have an Amazon team because they are... I'm waiting for one that looks good enough to make it its own thing.
Okay.
And then I don't have a Chaos Pack team. I don't have a Chaos Pack team. I can make one out of what I own, but...
Yeah, because you have a Troll, an Ogre, and
so
a Minotaur.
basically I just don't own the Amazons.
Yeah.
I essentially have 23 out of 24 teams.
Gotcha. What teams come in the base set?
That's what I'm about to say, yeah.
So here's the problem. So game components and game availability is a very different statement. So Games Workshop introduced this game, and it took off. When Games Workshop released the 3rd edition, they had teams for everything. Unfortunately, they stopped making these teams probably somewhere around 2003, 2004.
When they started cutting specialties.
So they started cutting the games, yeah. Since 2004, 3D printing has gotten super cheap. The bloodline of Blood Bowl runs deep.
Yep.
These people are super committed, and these people are also really good at modeling and painting.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of individual modelers that have been putting out teams through Kickstarter because it's very cheap to print teams. So they've been basically keeping the game alive. So when we talk about game components, there's two different things to look at. Official game components versus unofficial. So on official game components, there are 4 releases. The original release, which was 85, the second edition, which was 88, the third edition, which was 96, and then the 2016 edition. So the 2016 edition came out in November of last year, and the components are really good, and it's nice. And since then, they've put out 4 different teams.
Humans, orcs.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Humans and orcs are in the original,
Or in the base.
in the base set.
Yep.
And those are plastic sprue ones that you
Plastic
have.
sprues.
They're all plastic.
Yeah, okay.
Then Skaven and dwarves have been released since then.
As well as goblins.
Goblins are pretty new, right?
It was a couple months ago.
Was it?
And then there was something else.
Yeah.
Might have been it.
Yeah.
There's Nurgle that are coming out soon, if not
Yes.
already out.
Yeah, so they're steadily adding to the new releases of the teams with the new models and everything like that.
They even have like pitches that you can buy of those themes, dice, and then they're releasing star players and big guys slowly as well.
Now, so because I'm not entirely sure any of the times I've played what I've played on that's actually from the box versus like what is your custom stuff.
Probably 0 if you've
0,
played with
yeah.
Ant.
Yeah.
I don't actually, I own all of the most recent Games Workshop releases, but I don't actually play with them.
Okay.
I purchased them to support the game, and I eventually will paint them, but the new release, the 2016 edition, is a larger format. So all of the models that we've ever played with are 28 millimeter, and the new release is 34 millimeter. It doesn't sound like a big difference, but when you look at their bases,
Oh, yeah.
none of the new models fit any of my old boards.
Okay.
So
too big.
also the new release models are repetitive. So when you buy a new team, you get 12 models, but there's 6 unique positions, like stances, and they're duplicates. So kind of problematic with me because I like individual characters. When I play a game, I think of each person as an individual person, and I don't want them to look like somebody else. So I don't actually play with any of the newer edition models yet.
Okay.
I'm not against it. I have so many teams that I would like to play through everything that I own before I get through the new models. So you have not played with any of the new 2016 models.
So
We should also mention that this is a miniatures game. There
Yeah.
is assembling and gluing and painting of all of the miniatures and stuff like that.
yes. So Jeff, have you seen the 2016 edition?
I
The
use-
extra components. That's what you use.
The orc team I use is the 2016 edition one.
So since you've actually seen and touched it, Nate, you can chime in here. I haven't ever played with any of the stuff from the base sets. All the stuff I've played with has been aftermarket. So talk to us about like what the component quality is like for the original or for the actual, like, if you went to the game store and bought Blood Bowl right now, what can you expect in that box?
These are definitely some of the best looking Games Workshop models that they've thrown in these base sets. But like what Ant said, a lot of the poses are very similar. Model wise, I mean, they're good quality plastic models. They're easy to assemble. They're very pointy. So be careful of that.
They actually
a
get
lot of
hurt.
spikes in this game.
You will draw blood
Yes.
putting these people together.
Oh, wow.
They're very pointy plastic. The biggest downside is they are very similar stance-wise. You can paint them kind of different hair colors and stuff like that to try and draw out a little bit of unique ability to them. There's also, you can convert the models, but I mean, they're just plastics, but that's a lot of extra work for maybe buying just another third-party one that looks better, like what Paul did. The other thing is you don't really get what you need to play a full team right out of the box. Like you only, for orcs, you only get 2 blitzers and 2 black orcs. For any team that you make, you want 4 blitzers and 4 black orcs, which means you have to buy just those positions of other people's random box sets that they'll put up online for probably too much, or spending, what, $45, $35?
It's $35.
How much?
$35 for the blister, for the expansion sprue.
Gotcha. Yeah, or spend $35 to just buy more. So you have all the positions you actually need on the team to play. It comes with 2 throwers. Like, no one runs more than 1 thrower. They did it so it's just duplicate the sprue and that's what you get. But it kind of sucks that you don't get everything you really want or need to play for, I don't know, competitive play.
Competitive play is the key
Yeah.
because for $100 you can get the board, the dice, and 2 whole teams with a rule book and the range ruler and everything you need, and that's a great price.
Yes.
For basic play.
Yes. Starting to play, learning to play, etc. But when you get that hook, you're going to be like, oh, what makes a good team? And then you're like, oh, I have to buy more stuff now.
Yep.
And that's where they get you.
Yeah. But it comes with 2 entire sets of dice. It comes with a D16 in 2 colors, D8s, 4D6, and 2 sets of 3 block dice, both in 2 different colors.
Blue and green, right? Those
Yeah,
are
blue and
different.
green.
Okay.
Humans and orcs. And I really like those dice, and that's actually what I've been using
Okay.
more recently, too. They've done well so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rules and rules explanation. So, and how much of a pain is it for you? Well, so at this point, you probably have like teaching this game down. Like
To the T.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Overall, if you think like somebody new to the game, if they're just gonna go pick it up and sit down with their friend and try and work their way through this rule set, it's gonna be rough.
I would say that the rule book is kind of hard to describe because I actually haven't read through the new rule book.
No, nor have I.
So we use the NAF rulebook, and the NAF is the official sanctioning committee of Blood Bowl, and there is a official rulebook online. Technically, it's non-official now because there's a newer rulebook, but it's concise. If you read through the rulebook, anything that you need is on there. And the game is not hard to play. There are very specific situations that come up very often that as long as you understand those things, it's not hard to play. When I explain the game, you mention you have a couple different actions. You can always move, you can always block, and then there's 4 different things you can do besides that. After a couple turns, people get it for the most part. The only thing that I would say that people don't get are how assists work and how tackle zones work. So for the basic game, I think people get the game. And I've never really had a problem with playing a game where people just didn't get it. They do things in the wrong order, but they understand how the things work.
Okay.
So it's kind of convoluted because 80% of the game you can get really quickly, and the other 20% is technical.
And I do have to say that the rule book that it comes with does have a really nice learn to play thing on there where you
that's
can
good.
kind of set up miniatures, and then like this is an example. They call it the Blood Bowl Boot Camp.
Oh, cool.
So there is a real simple, easy learning thing. You all had Ant to just show you these things in like
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
But for someone that has probably never played a miniatures game like this before, you can kind of go through some plays and actually like work them out on the
Yeah.
board to learn how to play.
And the cheat sheets that come with the game are also pretty well describing
Yes,
the situation.
I still use those.
Yeah,
because
the cheat
I
sheets are good.
I haven't memorized the kickoff table like as
Right.
I have everything memorized. Like I get texts all the time from our league that's just like, hey, what do I do in this situation? It's immediate reply.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I'd say, at least from my experience, that getting how to do the moves is easy enough, but learning what's a good move and what's a bad move.
Understanding how to
yeah.
play and how you should play is very different.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And that I would agree with. Like that's the key difference between being passably good at Blood Bowl and
Yeah.
just getting your teeth kicked in.
And we should say there is also a second and third rule book now that's like the death zone, but that's more for like season play, league play.
Okay.
And some additional
It's additional league rule sets.
Yeah.
Are those
And a lot of
ones
them
you
are
have to
optional.
buy?
You do have to buy them,
Yeah.
and they're unfortunately priced.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Their Games Workshop price?
unfortunately
Yeah.
priced.
I mean,
What?
that's how they get you. They have these like really affordable base sets, and then all of a sudden, everything you need to like improve it slightly is way overpriced.
It's like, it's $40 for that rule book.
$100 for an entire base game with board and minis and dice and rulers and everything you need, but then the one rule book that adds a couple different little tiny things that are optional, $40.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's why yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we know most of it already. So
Yeah, right. They're charging me to remind me of things I already know. Got it.
All right. Well, I think that brings us over to gameplay, which I expect Ant to just word vomit praises and praises and praises at this point.
It's a good game.
Very concise.
Yeah.
And then that's it, right? All right, so
it's a good game. Let's wrap it up.
So, like we kind of mentioned there at the tail end of the rules thing, the difference between knowing how to play and knowing like how to play is huge.
How to play well, yeah.
And a big part of that is just knowing things like make sure you do everything that you can to not roll the dice first. Like if you like every move that doesn't involve a dice roll, do all that shit first. Then look at what dice rolls you're going to have to make, and then learning. And this is one of the things where experience really comes in, because then you start to realize like what are good odds and what are bad odds. Like, okay, well on this roll I have a 3-die like block on it, so okay, I'll do that one.
Do that. Yeah,
I should do that one first because I'm going to get to roll 3 dice and pick which one of them I want the result to be. Whereas like, oh, I have a 2-die uphill. You should probably try and make that one last, because you're going to roll 2 dice, and then your opponent gets to choose which dice happens.
Just roll 2 pals, and then you're fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's when you have to fight a very weak opponent or a very stronger opponent.
Yeah.
And that's where the stat lines and all that fun stuff come in.
Yeah, because the key thing for Blood Bowl, one of the things that was the most frustrating when I first played it, and I remember this very distinctly because I didn't fully grasp it until like halfway through the first game, it felt like if you fail a roll, your turn's done.
It's a turnover.
Like,
yeah.
Anytime you fuck up, you're done.
Yeah. So it's not like this isn't a game where it's like, you're taking all of your like it. And this is one of the areas where I had a problem with it, because like I tried to compare it to like, turn-based football. And it's like, well, wait, just because my running back trips doesn't mean my other lineman just stops doing everything. Like, and so that was kind of, the ideas did not cross
right
well. And it took me a little while to kind of embrace that, that was just the way it was. And then realizing that it's that for everything. Like, I think one of the first times was like, I rolled like a skull. And it was like, oh, well, that just ends your turn. Like, it wasn't that I failed to roll. It's that I rolled a skull. And then, like, later on,
Well, you failed a block.
Yeah.
That's a skull. That's a failure. You're
Yeah.
down. And I take advantage.
Yeah. And then, so then later on, it was like, oh, well, I thought it was the skull specifically that ended the turn, not the failing.
Yep.
Until, like, the next turn when I fucked up and failed.
You try to dodge, and you just fall on your ass.
Oh. So that's kind of a tricky thing to...
Don't start off your turn with just trying to move a guy away that you don't care about by dodging away and on a 4+.
Everything you do needs a die roll for the most part.
Yeah.
That is not just openly running.
Yeah.
Openly running in the field. Because until you run up to the ball and try and pick it up, then you need a dice roll. Whether you fail or make that dice roll depends on what player that is actually doing it, because certain players are better at doing that than others.
Yes.
And every team has 11 people on the pitch, and then you can have up to 16 on the roster, and then some of them die sometimes.
Many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the big thing is like everything about this. Like, you're rolling for everything, which is one of the things like, I know I've complained about like the randomness in this game is one of the things that holds me back. But I know, like, Ant, one of the things you like to say is this game is like trying to minimize dice rolls. Like, it's the strategy to play the game to where you're rolling the dice as infrequently as possible, because they're going to fuck you.
This is an ultimate dice or probability mitigation game. Like, you need to play as tight as you can to force the odds on someone else. You want to make sure that everything that you do is safe, and when you have to play the odds, you play it in your favor. And even if it was a 50-50, you give them that roll, because if they mess it up, it's bad for them. But if you mess it up, it's better for them.
Yeah.
So you need to take your odds where you can, and you need to move your characters in a way that puts that probability on them. So I hate dice games, and this game is a lot of dice rolling, and I fucking love this game.
Yeah.
The point is to not roll dice, though. If you play a game where you don't have to roll any dice besides pick up the ball, which you can play a game without rolling any dice at all, that's a perfect game. It's never going to happen.
No.
But that's the whole point of a perfect game.
You're going to have to hit someone sometime.
Well, they can kick it out of bounds. You can give it to your own guy, and you can run around them.
I'm looking at pictures of teams, and
Oh my God.
yeah,
That one's really bad.
There you go.
yeah, that's a good one. It's a lady ogre in like a Playboy outfit / bunny ears, running with a goblin. It's quite
Haunting is what it is.
Haunting, yes.
Haunting.
It's good human
Of all
team.
the ones you got to pull up.
I've just been swiping through. Anyway,
It's what Jeff does during reviews. He swipes through the BGG pictures or the Google image results of the game we're reviewing. And just occasionally you get some really weird shit in
Yep.
there.
yeah.
But I know like that's one of the things like after talking to you a little bit about it, and especially like as you guys have done, multiple seasons of your league, and Jeff constantly rambling on and on about, Blood Bowl during his Bloody Minute segment. Mm-hmm. I've really kind of like, I was actually looking forward to getting to play more recently, like with that more in mind, that like trying to avoid rolling dice, and like Paul, especially like Paul and I have a lot of similar taste in games, and
Sure.
And I have a lot of the games that click, and Paul fucking loves Blood Bowl, and he loves like a lot of the strategy, the deeper strategy that goes into it, about basically trying to avoid rolling those dice, like because it's not a game, like you said, like you don't have to roll dice, like you're going to have to, but you don't. It's not a game where you constantly are required to in a weird way. Like,
there's ways to put the dice rolls on the other people, and when you have to roll the die, there's ways to improve your odds.
Yeah. And so like with things like that in mind, like I would like have been looking forward to playing more often. Unfortunately, the most recent game that I had was the one with you that took like 5 hours.
Which is the longest game I played ever. Probably ever.
It was nearly
it's probably the longest game I've ever
Since the last
played.
game you played with him?
Yeah, it was nearly soul crushing. And that's always been another one of my major problems with the gameplay for this game. Like the games that I've played seem to take forever.
Sure. And then I would say that the time that you came and played with me, when you did a turn, I was trying to go through the deeper strategies of your turn and tell you the probabilities and what you should have done and what you could have done and why things happened the way they did. And that slowed us down a little bit at the beginning, and then we ended up just getting slower and slower.
Which was weird.
But yeah, I would say every time that I go to a tournament, there's a 2-hour limit, and I've never hit that limit. The last 2 tournaments I've been to, the last tournament I finished all my games in under an hour, but that was because I got a championship for the most fouls. But I would say my average game on a competitive play, when people are very serious and we're taking every turn into thinking too hard kind of mentality, it's still only about an hour and a half.
Yeah. But I mean, like, so that's like chess is another game where like every time I've ever played chess, like the game takes forever because people think like through turns a lot. And like I watch like people play it who really play it, and they're like, boom, 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 like turn, move, 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 to where you're doing it with like a little 60-second timer.
Yeah.
You're like smacking.
Usually when I play a tournament, I tell people that right before when we sit down, I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, like, it takes me a solid 45 minutes or 45 seconds of just like sitting there staring at the board, and then my turn will go right off the bat. Like, just I'm always paying attention. Just know that I'm going to just sit there and stare at the board for a second, and then I'm going to do things really fast. And if I go too fast when I roll the die, just let me know and I'll slow down. But it's basically like, I just want to double check all my odds right when my turn starts. Because when it's your turn, you can start calculating already. Like, you know what's going to happen. Like, I can predict where you're going to kind of go. And then I'm just fluctuating what my plan is based on what you do.
Yeah.
Like, reflectively changing your idea.
Which is like a whole another level of strategy that I'm nowhere near.
And one of the best parts about Blood Bowl is, even though you might have the perfect strategy, the first thing you do, it's like, all right, I just need a 2+. Oh, well, I got to reroll. I rolled another one.
Yep,
and it's your turn now.
Yep, yeah.
And now you're just like, well, couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like the game that we played that took forever. There's one point where like, I'm going to try and pick up the ball. Nope, I failed. I'm going to try and pick up the ball. Nope, I failed. I'm going to try and pick up the ball. Nope, I still failed. Like 5 or 6 turns in a row, like I just couldn't pick up the ball until you just came down the field and grabbed it and then like
Well,
walked in
I
for a
guess
score. It's
I'll pick up the ball, and I'm in your end zone now.
yeah.
I mean, that's the game, man. Oh, I'm going to pick up the ball. Oh, and I died.
Go for it, trip, fall, dead.
Yeah, in the tournament where the game I played with Paul, I was going to score. I was running my guys, and I just had to do my second go for it to get to the end zone. And that one, I rolled a 1, re-rolled it, got another 1. And so the ball, this is like at the end of turn 5, and literally that ball stayed at that end zone until my turn 8.
Wow.
It just kept bouncing around. It even went into the crowd and just bounced right back in front of us.
I mean, clearly there is a trip line at the end zone of a Blood Bowl pitch. You never go for it into the end zone of a Blood Bowl pitch.
So no one told me
There's
that.
always a trip line.
Yes.
I can't even exaggerate how many times I've died on that trip line. So many skinks are lost in this battle.
But yeah, so we have sitting here like you two who absolutely love Blood Bowl. So talk to us a little bit about, for gameplay purposes, like what makes you guys, because I think of all the games we've reviewed so far, this is one where we have like somebody who is so clearly like die hard about this. Like you guys have played more games of Blood Bowl than we've probably played games total in 2017.
Is that me or is that Jeff?
Both of you,
That's
like
fine.
like between the league, like you guys do like
Fumble and stuff
not
like that,
just a league, not just like a one season. Like you're going into your third season of this league,
Fifth season.
fifth season of this
Fifth
league.
season.
And considering that I play usually 2 teams per season, I've played over 1,000 games of Blood Bowl so far.
So no other game we've reviewed has somebody who has that depth of experience playing. So
well, no other game is as good. Blood Bowl is the best game of all time. Fact stated.
Let's
Save your opinions until the end.
the brakes here.
Okay, well, in my opinion,
But so
maybe I like Blood Bowl, maybe I don't.
So talk a little bit about like what is it about playing Blood Bowl that hooks you so much? Like what is it that draws you in to this extent?
The murder.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing Murder Island for what, like 6 months at most.
Yeah.
And then also sort of tailing off that too, like how it compares like just single plays versus like season play, like how it plays over a season and stuff like that.
I like the season play much more than really any other way to play this game. The league, the star player points, the leveling up, the building up of your guys, the death of critical players and having to recruit new ones, where the stakes are just so much higher because of the league play, because you have like trophies and cool stuff that you can win and just doing better with your team than other people, as Ant is now pointing at his
Big trophy pile.
I mean, you may not want to
I'm
point
a
to this one.
menagerie.
Yeah,
You wouldn't point
point
at
to
that.
That one's actually not even mine.
I know.
Yeah.
But I don't have my foul trophy here, so I figured I'd bring
Oh, gotcha.
Bring the Jeffy toilet.
the Jeffy.
But yeah, the league play is definitely the most attractive part of the game for me.
Do you play differently, like league play versus like single plays?
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. You'll take a lot more risks and stuff in regular play if it's just kind of like screwing around kind of stuff. Where with league play, you're much more competitive with it.
Right.
It's I mean, you can still be competitive with one-off play, but I guess it's just not as fun.
Before I even go, you, Zach,
Yes.
have played a tournament,
I did play a tournament. Yes.
which was a resurrection style tournament. And you've also played a one-off game with me.
Yes.
So the one-off game versus the resurrection style, where you played a higher team value game
Yeah. Okay.
with other people that are equal value in multiple different settings.
Okay.
How did you feel the two was different?
Well, I definitely felt like with the single play, I definitely felt the like, all right, this is, like sort of what Adrian was saying, like, looking over the board, all right, gonna try and figure out exactly what I want to do and all this stuff. Whereas with the tournament one, you also had that, but the time limit was always there. That like the first game I played, I think I got halfway through my second half, but then all the other two ones, the 2 ones after that, I completed with like 20 minutes to spare and then like 5 minutes to spare with us. So I definitely, especially with playing new, like I just felt like I got introduced to a whole bunch of shit immediately.
Well, that's just not knowing the teams.
Yes, exactly.
Which is one
Yeah.
thing.
It was just like, okay, this is Elfie bullshit. Okay, all right.
Now I know what Elfie bullshit is.
Yes. Yeah. So, I think part of it too is just like that first game I had was sort of a learning one. It helped me figure out how to do like. I don't, especially if I'm fighting against wood elves with war dancers that can leap over players. Don't just make one line. That's what I did.
Don't make a little barrier that they can jump over.
Yep, he jumped over, and I was like, okay, well, you got 1 point. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
But I guess I was sort of a little bummed. I think because I didn't realize that it was a resurrection one until the end of the first game.
When you didn't murder people.
Well, yeah, when I didn't murder them, that lasted the entire tournament. But it was, I don't know, it didn't. I definitely like I definitely have no context of the actual season, but I felt like besides they felt sort of similar except for the time pressure of the tournament. And then also I knew halfway through the tournament, it's like you're not trying to win the tournament. That's not a thing that's going to happen. But go for kills. So then I just I sort of molded my gameplay towards just try and kill people as much as you can. Just punch that face so many times.
All right. So in that same sense, did you like the time pressure?
I think so. because then you couldn't overanalyze things. That it was just like, okay, it got me better of like, okay, these are the things I need to focus on my turn. Like, and so it helped me think about it more when it was the opponent's turn. So it's like he's like you said, like try and plan your stuff sort of when it's on his turn, and then when he does things, you're like, okay, well I have to change it a little bit, but I still knew on my turn. It's like, okay, I still want to do this strategy that I was planning on doing. You know?
Sure. So then for me, I play a lot of Blood Bowl. That's a
understatement.
Yeah. But I play a lot of tournaments, and I run our league. So tournaments is kind of the easier one to talk about because I usually take them very seriously or completely do not. But
well, you have some serious trophies and some not so serious trophies in front of you.
I have a lot of trophies.
Yeah.
Some are serious and some are not serious.
This is the most serious one right here.
So...
the Dirty Deeds trophy.
Dirty Deeds. They're done dirt cheap, though.
They are, by goblins.
It was even easier with Undead.
That's true.
I kind of ruined my Undead ranking, though.
Because NAF has actual tournament rankings and stuff like that. So
I play a lot of tournaments. In tournament play, most tournaments are resurrection style. So it's one very specific game played against one very specific person, and then you move on. So you play a little more open in the sense that you don't care if people die as long as you win. Mm-hmm. And you play in the sense that I don't necessarily need skill points as much as tournament points. So tournaments are ranked kind of differently per tournament. Sometimes you get bonus points for different things. Sometimes you don't. So it's a very technical play. And I absolutely hate dice games. And this is a game based on dice. And there's a specific reason that anytime you go to a large tournament, you see the same people in the top tier. It's strategy, it's gameplay, and it's risk mitigation. So you're never going to see some random person on the top table of Chaos Cup. That doesn't work.
No.
Chaos Cup is the U.S. major, which usually actually was this past weekend. I don't know who won yet. I didn't look it up, but it's usually about 100 coaches. But there's a reason that people rank highly often, and it's strategy plus understanding how to move your players in order to minimize the risk. So when I play tournaments, it's a very specific kind of style. When I play League, it's also a very specific style, but it's different. You want to level up your people. You want to make skill points happen on different people, because when you do different kind of actions, you can get skill points. So you score a touchdown, you get some skill points. And skill points are basically experience points. You can level up your characters, you can gain more skills, you can get better. So over time, if you're playing a league, you can improve your team and you can buy more players and they can also improve. So if you are trying to get a better team, you need better players. So sometimes you do some crazy things in order to divvy up your skill points. Sometimes in a tournament, you don't care. I don't care who scores the touchdown as long as I get the touchdown.
Been there.
So when we play league style, it's more so the interaction with other people that I seek, because I can play a game and lose but still qualify for the playoffs as long as I did something to improve my team. When I'm playing a tournament, I like to interact with my opponent as long as they lose. I'm a very interactive coach when you play Blood Bowl, and I'm very talkative, which bothers some people sometimes because I cheer them when they kill my people, which they think it's kind of like taunting them. I'm like, no, man, that was a great hit, great punch.
That's always been like one of the funniest things for me. You know, when we had the ski condo, yeah, and I'd come out in the morning, like an hour before the lifts open, and you'd be sitting on the couch with your laptop just cackling wildly. And I'd be like, what's going on? And you're like, this guy just murdered like half of my team in one go. Like, it was awesome.
Hilarious.
And I'm like, wait, what? Isn't that bad for you? Like, why are you happy about this? I'm convinced if you can love Blood Bowl, like, you just have to learn to embrace that, and it makes you just a better loser.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the reasons that I'll never super love Blood Bowl is I'm way too competitive and get way too invested in things that I shouldn't get invested in.
That doesn't sound like you at all.
Incredibly shocking for everyone here.
Jeez. Real talk.
I'm not like Zen Master Jeff over here. It's like, I came in dead last and I had a great time. No, if I came in dead last, I'm probably pissed.
Well, I came in second to dead last on the last tournament. It worked out great for me. I set a record, so that's all I needed.
Zach, in the tournament you played, you got most casualties.
I did, yes.
Which was impressive.
Yes.
That's the one I got from the previous
Which
tournament.
is frustratingly enough what I was going for.
And and then we had to fight for it, basically.
It's not like it didn't hold out so well, huh?
I did not hold out so well.
I mean, you killed the fuck out of a lot of my orcs, that's for sure. You just didn't kill enough. You didn't kill enough more than I
Enough
did.
more.
Yeah, yes,
Yes.
enough more.
Enough more.
We were playing orcs. So
Yeah.
Grammatically correct.
Yes, exactly.
So then we have to talk about leagues.
Do we?
It's our new league, so
Yeah, preseason's happening right now. I'm going to be carrying over my orcs, but that's sort of an important distinction when you play these leagues. This is the longest league I've ever played in, so because usually it goes for a season or two and then falls apart. Also, the biggest that I've ever been in, and I think this season will have the most players as
20.
well.
20 coaches.
20
Oh, wow.
coaches.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a reason we have divisions. You would know more about handling league stuff than I would, however.
Sure.
Because I just play in it. I don't organize and have to run the whole damn thing.
But I didn't even redraft because I was knocked out of the playoffs by Cheater Jeff.
Cheater Jeff.
Cheater
Yep.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff.
So league style, like as you gain points, you level up, and eventually your team gets better, which is awesome, except for the fact that when your star player dies, you have to deal with that. And this is Blood Bowl, so deal with it.
Yeah.
There's no crying in Blood Bowl.
No.
So as your team levels up, they get more expensive, right?
The more skills you have and the more things you have, the more value your team is worth.
Right.
So you compare one team's value versus the other, and then someone's the underdog, and the underdog gets some handicaps, which are usually not that great, but sometimes enough to swing a game, usually not.
Right. So isn't there, like, when you're playing, I remember, like, every time you kick off, things can happen because you roll
Every
two dice,
time
right?
the ball's kicked to the receiving team, every time you do a kickoff, there's a kickoff event. And these kickoff events range from pretty neutral to pretty fucking chaotic.
Yeah. Like changing weather. Well, weather change is the same. The ball bounces twice. Oh, no. Or it's blitz. Oh, they get a whole fucking turn before you do. Oh, I'm so
Or
fucked.
the coveted pitch invasion.
Pitch invasion. Especially if you're one of those underdog teams, it doesn't have a lot of fan factor. And then they have fame. They might get some extra die pluses to those stun rolls.
Your
at the beginning.
entire team could be stunned and go fuck yourself
Yep.
because the crowd is as rowdy as the players.
That's why every time that you crowd surf a player, they take a casualty roll immediately. To
They
see
don't.
what
You don't have to.
happens.
You don't do an injury or a armor roll.
No.
Or anything,
When
right?
there's
Yep.
7,000 people crushing on your one player, they'll find the break in the armor.
Yeah.
They'll make it work.
Yeah.
If not, they'll surf you higher up into the bleachers, and somebody will find a little spork to
Yeah.
fucking gouge.
Right in your face. Just right in the eye. He'll be known as Spork Eye.
Ooh, that's a good name. Spork guys.
Great name.
Oh, God.
But yeah, there's so much like that you have to think about in league play because you don't want that shit to just be like, well, that game went bad because the next game is going to be even worse because it's like, well, I have 3 guys that are missed next game. Uh-oh, I'm fucked. Because they could be some of your star positions that you're like,
Right.
oh, he had plus agility. I was really able to pick up the ball real easy before, and I'm fucked this next game. But like you can get that inducement advantage, which is I think is a lot better in this new version because they took the wizard out because everyone would just take the fucking wizard because it was just like instant injury lightning strike on a 2+ versus a like 3x3 grid fireball to just stun everything on a 4+, and everyone would take that because it could be completely game changing.
Right.
Like, oh, your guy is you didn't go for that. You didn't go for the trip line on that 2+. Well, lightning bolt. You're right on the line there, huh?
And he's dead. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
He's just-
weird.
The ball's just rolling around now.
On fire.
The ball's sticking to him. All that static electricity.
Yeah, Blood Bowl's real good.
Yeah. So I remember you guys. There was a tournament style that you were doing before. Is it the corpse thing? Is that
Oh,
like?
the corpse is completely different.
Is
It
it
is.
just a very like? Okay, all right.
So yeah, corpse is a variant that it's basically pre-amateur Blood Bowl. It's a smaller team each side. It's a much smaller pitch, and it's basically a bunch of people are going to qualify for Blood Bowl teams, and on the way to the tryouts, they get drunk and play in the streets. It's basically just pre-college football, drunken street brawling.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's all armor rolls are +1, and you can throw balls off the alley walls and like angle them and crazy stuff.
And our version is even more violent than that because our theme for our little tournament that we were doing that we'll probably do every once in a while is they're playing for a Nurgle team and ultra violent, ultra corpse pestilence type thing, and they're like, well, if we kill everyone before they go to playoffs, we don't have to compete against them. So it was a last man standing
Gotcha.
kind of tournament, and everything was ultra violent.
Yes.
Nice.
And we'll probably next time we do it, we'll probably jack that up even more.
Yeah, people didn't die fast enough.
Yeah, basically what it was.
We wanted like a third of your team to die every game.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Did it go three games long?
We played 2 games long.
Yeah.
And then we stopped, and then we were like, this isn't enough. And we decided, we sat down and drank 10 beers and decided how to crank it up even more.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
We played at Epic, so
Gotcha.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's just a variant that somebody else came up with?
It's just a fan-made
fan-made
for
thing.
fun
Okay.
thing.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, yeah, this is another one of those games that like has a lot of that. Like a lot of, like you were talking about earlier with the component stuff, like people make minis for this. They make custom ridiculous pitches. We've done a couple for Kickstarter previews of like Blood Bowl pitches that are ridiculous and have crazy dice trays and dice towers and things all built in. Yeah.
And there'll be ones that have like 3-foot walls around the pitch that is just an actual stadium filled with minis of actual stadium attendees.
And then when he serves the crowd, you just throw him into the minis and you just see what happens.
Yep.
If he lands on his base, he survives.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things that can kind of come out of this game, depending on what you want to get out of it.
Yeah.
Like if you just want it to be a 2v2 one-off game, it could be that. It probably shouldn't be, it seems like.
You don't have to
yeah,
paint
it
your
depends.
miniatures, but you should.
It definitely seems like, like you're watching Jeff even scroll through here, like most of the stuff, like, yeah, oh my God, that's ridiculous.
It's just like meh.
The
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
it's a huge pitch with like minis in the stands and skyboxes and upper decks and everything. But it seems like even scrolling through this, like you could tell like a lot of these look like they're people who are probably playing like league play or something.
Sure,
on
yeah.
a lot of these pictures. That seems to be like kind of where this game really shines, is when you do tournaments and league play where you're playing consecutive games where results carry over and matter. And yeah,
you really build a bond with your team when you play it enough. Like, you have this one player who scored all your touchdowns and he got all these amazing skills, because there's varying levels of what skills you can choose. And this one player is like your star. And then all of a sudden you're playing one game and you get a little sloppy and you let him get hit and then he dies. And you actually feel it. Like, you're like, fuck.
I have to retire my fucking thrower. God damn it.
He's dead.
He got an agility hit.
But and then there's other games that you play where you're just like, I fucking just killed his star player, and holy shit, yes! Yeah. I'm gonna teabag him, and it's gonna throw him into the stands, and I'm gonna let everyone take his armor off, and his shoes are gonna be taken, and that's it. I'm gonna leave him one left sock. That's it. That's all he gets. That's all he gets.
That's happened.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities for different types of gameplay in this game.
For sure.
I think is a safe way to sum all that up.
Yeah. And not
A little bit of an understatement.
We haven't even talked about all the online versions. Fumble's a good version.
Sure. I play the most of Fumble, so it's
Yeah.
more true to style, but very graphically declined.
It's very simple sprites.
Yeah. I play more NES than anything else, so it works great for me.
Yeah. The Blood Bowl 2 Legendary Edition just came out for the PC. From what I've played of it, it is a very faithful adaptation of the board game version.
Millions and millions of copies sold.
Yep. It is the Legendary Edition just added more league stuff in there, so you can kind of create your own personal online leagues and stuff. But it gets expensive when it's like, oh, well, a new team came out, $7, please. It's better than actually buying a $8 Kickstarter, to be fair, but it's a digital version of that team, not
Fair enough.
real version.
It's a online Blood Bowl LCG at that point, like subscription fee. Every 3 months, you have to pay $7 for a new team. Okay.
Yeah. And then
It's not the worst.
No. They do have some new teams in there that aren't in the actual tabletop version, which I'm not a fan of, but like there's a Kislev, like Polar Bear team or something.
Which is actually a Blood Bowl team, but it was not officially released by Games Workshop. So they kind of Games Workshop's been doing some shady shit on that kind of sense. They're like, well, this has been in a semi-official team for 8 years, so we want it to be official, but we want it to be our official.
Yeah.
So they literally just re-themed the team. Instead of Slan, which are space frogs, they named them Kislev, which are Nordic
They're like Northeast
clown people.
They're
my
like,
God.
They're not kinda like
They're Nordic clown people. That's what it is. That is the theme.
it's very circusy.
They're Norse on stilts and a polar bear. It's a retheme. It's hardcore, really bad, try hard retheme. Their polar bear has prehensile chains. That doesn't even make sense. Prehensile chains.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all.
They should have just made it Slan.
Yeah, they should have, but that wasn't their release, so that's why they didn't.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, anyway. We'll talk about the evils of Games Workshop some other time.
The most evil company in board gaming.
I need to just come back on for one blip of how Games Workshop is contributing and hurting this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we are well ready for final thoughts at this point. We can continue to ramble about all the different variations of gameplay stuff
It's important.
for a long time. But
Why don't you start, Zach?
yeah.
Okay. It's like after playing the tournament of it, I definitely liked it in a tournament format. It's definitely like, especially when you're playing with, and I happened to play with three different people, but I liked all the plays that I did. Having an opponent that works well, that meshes well with you is always great in those sort of games. Once you get how the game works, and then also once you get how to play it well, then it definitely is a lot easier to play. It moves a lot. Like, that's how you're able to start doing those tournament times of, was it an hour and a half or 2 hours? I can't remember.
2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah. Once you know the type of moves you're able to do, and it took me the better part of a game and a half. The first game just to get the basics down, and then half of the second game to realize what shitty moves are. But once you start getting better, it definitely moved a lot quicker. It definitely fits in that 90 minutes to 2 hours. And like I said, I did like it in the tournament format. I don't think I could do it in a league style, just because I don't want to have to. It just seems too long term for me.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment, and it's to playing the same thing for however long the league happens to last.
7 games.
7 games. Okay, that's not the worst, but still, it just is not. Especially like you have to fit times to play those games and stuff like that.
Schedule with people.
Yes,
Play people you might not like as much.
I see you and David playing way too often at game night and having
Yes.
it take up most of your game night.
Yeah.
That will be this week as well.
Yeah.
But that helps them not have to play it outside of game night where they know they're going to be at the same time. So
Yeah. It's just an easy scheduling.
Yes. But overall, I think I remember after playing it the first game, I definitely agreed that it is like 90% strategy, 9% dice rolling, and then just 1% fuck you.
1.87%.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's the double skull roll.
Oh, okay. Good to know. But yeah, like overall, I think it's a well designed game. I like how I definitely haven't played a bunch of different races, but I played 2 that played differently, and they definitely felt like they played differently. And I thought, I thought it was well. It felt well designed. I just really liked it. I liked it a lot, but I definitely don't see myself doing it and like making a hobby out of playing the game versus just playing it recreational.
It does.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about you go?
I've loved Blood Bowl for a long time. I've loved it even more once I've gotten into like a real serious league. I agree pretty much with what was it, 1.87%? 1.87% fuck you. That's definitely 100% this game. And that's
1.8%
Time it happens every day.
yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say more than what I already have. Besides, I love the games. I will continue to be playing them for quite some time. I could probably be a little bit more on the hobby end of it and actually finish painting my fucking teams, but I've never been good at painting anything, so in a decent amount of time. My Imperial Guard from 2004, still unpainted.
Slacker.
Yeah, but
Are those in Chicago?
yeah, they're in Chicago.
So it's hard for you to do it right now.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, love Blood Bowl. Love everything about Blood Bowl. I look forward to getting more teams. I'm currently loving orcs. I've really only played seriously humans and orcs, and there are so many.
Would you see yourself getting every team?
No.
Okay. I know, and you said you're very completionist, so.
I like playing every team.
Well, yes, also true. But I just wanted to see if you felt like having all the teams would be worth it, or if it's just
No, I mean, I still need to find what kind of team play I like. I mean, I like Bashy, I like humans, which are kind of a little bit of everything. I've not really played seriously elves or any of the seriously bashy teams like Chaos.
that was a nice thing that tournaments were good for.
Trying out different teams.
Because Paul tried out the Wood Elves, and at the end of the tournament, he's like, "Fuck the Wood Elves forever."
Yeah. And certain teams can do better in league play versus tournament play, like Nurgle would probably be better in a tournament setting, and they're better. Huh?
No.
Not?
Opposite.
After leagues, they get good.
Yeah.
A couple seasons in, but in a tournament, they will actually have skills.
No.
No.
Continue. You're
Not-
wrong. Continue.
Not even enough in tournament.
Nope. Continue. And this is why he only has orcs and humans.
But I'm looking forward to trying out more teams.
Okay.
Right on. I'll go next, and then Ant, you can bring us home. I want to like Blood Bowl. There's a lot there that I feel is kind of in my wheelhouse. I love football. Broncos play tomorrow. Very excited. So next week. But anyway, I love football, and this is like football, the board game. I like a lot of high fantasy stuff, and there's a lot of that in this. Like, I mean, I could play a zombie team. I love zombies. I could be a zombie team. Like, so there's a lot of that kind of stuff. I feel like I should like it more than I do. I don't dislike it, and I definitely think that I'm on the right path to at least having a healthy appreciation for Blood Bowl and what it can be. I want to play some more, and I feel like if I could really get to where I could reasonably play a game in like the 2 hours, the mythical 2 hour time mark that I'm not sure is actually feasible.
Do a tournament, then you'll.
I don't believe that anybody has ever finished a game in 2 hours. Everybody says they have. I don't believe them. It has to be lies. I've never seen it. But
Paul has finished these in 2 hours. Okay.
Even more unbelievable. Playing a game of Blood Bowl with Paul would basically be my nightmare. If there's one person I never want to play Blood Bowl with, it's probably Paul.
I thought it was that too until I destroyed. I killed everything. It was amazing. I enjoyed not having your war dancers anymore.
Yeah, but I don't know. I need to play it more and kind of solidify my feelings on it. I've swung back and forth. I was really excited to play it when I first played it, and then I was like, nope, fuck this. It's way too random. Screw that. And then like having talked to Ant and Jeff and Paul and like watched enough of it and like know like there's a lot more strategy going on there. There's a lot more like playing to avoid the randomness and things like that. And it was like, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And then I played again with more of that in mind on our last play. And if it just hadn't taken so damn long, and if I hadn't failed to pick up a football for 5 fucking turns, and like, I think that's going to be the thing. I think it's still just random enough that it's going to keep me from ever loving it like you guys do. But I think I could get to a point where I would enjoy playing it occasionally, especially in the tournaments. I'll never do a league. Again, same reasons as you, Zach, that commitment for weeks and multiple games, like, and then I get too invested. My star player would go down in week 4 and I'd flip the table. So that doesn't seem like a good thing for me. It's got potential.
Yeah, this game really has just got potential, I think.
I'd also say it doesn't help that dice just don't like you, Adrian.
Yeah,
so
dice hate me as much as I hate them. It's
Yeah.
a mutual hatred. Ant, bring us home. What's your final thoughts for the game?
Blood Bowl, best game ever. End of conversation. Thank you for having me. See ya.
All right.
So,
Oh, you were being serious.
all right. So I absolutely love Blood Bowl. It's a game that can really tug at your emotions. It can be really fun and it can be really discouraging, but I think that's what I love about it the most, because I think the funniest times that Adrian has had watching me play Blood Bowl during like the ski condo was him waking up and me absolutely getting crushed because he woke up to me laughing on the couch. There's games that you can play and your team just gets utterly wrecked. That's fine. That's Blood Bowl. Like, these are races, like, in the theme, these are people that play the game until they die. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous game to start with.
Or are retired.
Or retired because they're not good enough anymore to fucking die.
Yep.
You're too slow to die. Mm-hmm. Get off the field.
Yep.
So, to me, it's a very heavy strategy game. I've said it multiple times. This is a game of risk mitigation, and for me, who plays very often and plays tournaments very often, I see the strategy very clearly. And when I play games with people who don't see the strategy, I don't care. Whatever. I don't need to win. Sometimes it's what you do to make the game funny that makes the game fun. I've lost to almost everyone I've taught this game to, and I didn't do it on purpose. Every time I've taught this game to someone, they've done some super ridiculous bullshit that doesn't even make sense when you know how to play the game, but they roll a 6, and that's all you need.
Yep.
And how are you going to get mad at them? You go watch NFL highlights for a reason, because that play was bullshit and super lucky. Sure, they rolled a 6. Got it. You got sacked, you rolled a 1. Got it. Like, people tend to like look at this game as a single die roll means that's the probability of that one single action. A single die roll in Blood Bowl tends to be like the interaction of a bunch of different things themed into one die roll. So sure, you failed to throw a pass, but in actual football, maybe it's because someone got around your defensive line and distracted you enough, or like pushed you just enough. Like, it's a lot easier to get angry at the game when you think about each individual die roll as an individual die roll. When you think about the game as a strategy thing to, like, you want to decrease the number of dies you roll because you want to mitigate your risk, that's when the game starts getting really fun strategically. And then the game gets even more fun when you think about how many people you just killed.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. To me, this is easily my favorite game. It's hard to say that it's not. I easily play this more than you guys probably play regular games altogether. If you exclude your party, like, quick filler games, I probably play Blood Bowl more than each of you individually play regular board.
Probably, yeah.
Yep, 100%.
With me starting to play online, I might start to rival that, but
Sure.
yeah, it's close.
But you account my online games, then it's possible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean,
Online
how often do you
games,
play
but-
Blood Bowl, like regular non-online Blood Bowl in a week, on average?
Like
Twice?
In season or out of season?
I average over a year. So
I
a
would probably
year's
say
got
twice
2
a week.
seasons.
I probably play Blood Bowl twice a week.
I play board
On
games
average.
more than twice a week. So
Sure.
I play more board games than you play Blood Bowl. But there are a huge variety. It's not one game. Like, you play one game twice a week.
I mean, I've played Hanabi at least 600 times,
yeah.
and that doesn't even come close to Blood Bowl.
Right.
We should play more Hanabi.
We should also.
But we should play more Blood Bowl as well.
Maybe.
So, on the league sense, our league has been going very strong, and I'm super encouraged by it. And again, like, I don't always play the league to win the league, but I don't intentionally try not to win. But it doesn't matter. Like, playing a league, you got to understand that sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But increasing your team's value and increasing your player, like, worth, sometimes you don't need to win because maybe you're like David, who's a Nurgle. They're never going to win a season 1
No,
league.
never.
They're a season 3 league. So sure, you lose a couple seasons in order to increase your actual players.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, you get used to losing, which makes winning even better. Like, you start playing some stunty teams. Stunty teams are like the bottom tier teams that die very easily. You get used to losing people.
Yeah.
You get used to losing in general.
Yes.
And then ties are exciting.
Yeah.
So wins are super exciting. So you play these kind of things and you get used to it, and then you start building the strategy, you start building the game, and to me, this is awesome. I love it. Everything about it, I love it all. More Blood Bowl, please.
There's only, I mean, that's the reason you have a lot of halflings, just to throw them at the end zone.
Halflings are not good for anything besides throwing them at people. Just throw them at people.
Ant has thrown many halflings at me. 4 or 5 at least.
That was your fault. You chose. Halflings are maybe my second worst team.
What's your worst team?
I hate vampires.
Hate Vamps. Oh,
They're
because
so good, but they're so frustrating.
you have to always be next to people or bite or whatever. And yeah.
It's when you roll 1s on ogres and trolls, it's funny because they're stupid. When you roll 1s on vampires, who are like maybe the second best unit in the game, it's demoralizing.
Because they have to run over and roll an injury on something
Yeah. I rather lose for a stupid fucking troll
than biting your own dude.
than biting my own dude, because I'm really good at playing the game but really hungry.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, that kind of brings everything nicely to a head here. Unsurprisingly, Jeff and Ant love the game. Zach and I are
okay.
It's an all right game.
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle, varying shades of gray. I don't think we hate it.
No, I don't. No, I liked it. I just don't. I can't.
He's not committed to
I
it.
can't commit to the game.
And that's kind of how I feel. Like, I think that I could come to like it. I don't know if I'd say if I'd go quite that far. It still has an appeal and want to play more. We had a BGG thread up, but nobody commented on it. slackers.
Feel free to comment afterwards, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think about Blood Bowl if you've played it.
We have a lot of Blood Bowl listeners, I know.
We do.
A lot of people specifically.
We did have a few Twitter responses when I tweeted out Zach's BGG post. Number Wang replied with a picture of a stack of Battle Ball game, the future of football, and said, same thing, right?
False.
Which clearly exactly the same.
False.
All of the other weird sort of Blood Bowl-esque games are
False.
And then Alan asked, what is the proper etiquette for consuming a Blood Bowl? Pinkies out or not while drinking from the skull of your enemy?
I would contest that by the fact that when we actually play the game, we're not actually playing in the Blood Bowl. We're playing in the NAF. It's like calling the NFL the Super Bowl. So it's kind of hard to say, but I would say pinky out.
Yeah.
So
I would
yeah.
use two hands on both sides of the skulls, both pinkies out.
double pinkies. You
Put
heard
the
it from
pinkies
Jack.
underneath and have them touch.
You glue their pinkies to their skull and you drink out of it. So that way you don't even have to exert yourself.
Yeah,
you use
pinkies
them
are always out.
Are the pinkies like the handle? Like you take the skull and you like pinky like
Staple
base
gun it on.
and pinky base and you glue the
Staple gun
tips together
to
to
a
make
skull.
a hand. I don't know.
That nice crack line so it can just flow right out.
Yeah.
Good question, Alan.
Yes. but the Blood Bowl is an actual stadium in.
Well, it's the Super Bowl.
It's the Super Bowl. The stadium they play it in depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The game we play is not actually Blood Bowl.
No.
We play in the NAF.
Yes.
And the championship game is the Blood Bowl.
Indeed.
Oh, and isn't the Blood Bowl has a god, right? Or
Nuffle.
Nuffle, yeah.
Yeah, so pray to Nuffle and roll good dice.
Pray to Nuffle, which,
Yep.
ironically enough, if you say NFL as a name, sounds like Nuffle.
Suspicious.
It's been around for a while. Just saying.
Right on. Well, if you want to get a hold of us and let us know what you thought about this review, you can email us.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com. And also, if you would like to join the Blood Bowl League, you can email Ant at denverbloodbowl@gmail.com.
And is that limited to locals, or do you have a way for...
We cannot play remotely for
Okay.
our league. We
So-
have online leagues, but it's not our kill league for the Denver League.
So if you're local and want to join the league with the group, you can get a hold of Ant like that.
Indeed.
You can also jump over to our Board Game Geek guild number 2731, where Zach has up his fantastic post for the games we're playing. He has a Blood Bowl post where you can give us your thoughts on this episode, what you think about Blood Bowl, things like that. You can also keep an eye there where we will early next week have up a post for next week's review, and you can give us your thoughts on that. You can get a hold of us on Twitter. I tweet under at MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I'm Jeff_MHGG.
And Ant.
I'm Barrel_Overlord.
You can also find the Mile High Game Guys on Facebook and Instagram /Mile High Game Guys. Yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever your podcast app of choice is. And if you haven't already, maybe jump over and take a look at our Patreon. Patreon.com /Mile High Game Guys. Take a look at the different tiers we have over there. You know, the money that we raise through our very generous patrons helps us do things like t-shirts, equipment upgrades, and is going to help us get a brand new fancy website here pretty soon.
Some headphones for our guests.
Yeah. So Ant's got headphones. Things like that. We definitely appreciate the support we get. And if you would like to support us, you can go check us out there. Otherwise, thanks as always for listening. We will catch you next week. Until then, I've been Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Double Skull Jeff.
I'm Commissioner Ant.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Well, we'll know on Friday, I guess.
God damn it, you're shattering the illusion.
That's why I didn't mention the fucking date, did I, Jeff?
Thought you were better than this, Jeff.
I said this past weekend was Chaos Cup. Fucking cut. Done fucked it up. You pointed the date and I said, I know. Just let it go.